So I found this image in social media and I found it so representative of why I just don't give a fuck anymore about conversations on the internet. And this is something that sometimes I have like made some tweet, but it's probably very hard to explain this in just a couple of tweets. So for today's drawing rant, I thought that maybe this was a good topic because like right now on social media, especially on Twitter, but in most social media, I just don't give a fuck anymore. Like I don't argue with anyone. If I either write whatever I want to say and ignore every response that people make, or sometimes I may mock what they say, like they accuse me of something. I use some meme in which I turn it against them and make like some accusation in jest to make them feel what it is to be accused of shitty stuff or I just block them. And I kinda think I have to explain in length why I think that this is kind of like I wouldn't say that it is that what everyone should do because you can do whatever you fuck you want. But it's like I don't understand right now why people still try to have conversations on Twitter and sites like that. And like what you have to understand is that when you block someone or ignore someone or whatever, they always try to cope with some kind of variation of, oh, they blocked me so I win, or they are offended, or they are triggered, or whatever. And what you have to understand is that I think I am a very resilient person when it comes to the internet, and I mean, it should be very obvious because I am a hentai artist. I draw very fucked up fetishes every day because people hire me to do their fetishes, and I have drawn a lot of stuff that I don't publish because it's very hardcore and very like you don't wanna see the things like that. I have drawn a lot of things that only exist in the darkest corners of DeviantArt or not even DeviantArt because some of the things I draw are not allowed in DeviantArt. Like they are only in the darkest places of, I don't know, Damboru or some place like this that has all of the extreme stuff. And I draw that like every week. I have something like that, and I'm like a shit poster. I draw a lot of political comics. I make a lot of politically incorrect comments, so I receive hate every day at all times. Like I am very accustomed to have death threats and people wishing my death every day. So it's for me it's like a normal thing, and that kind of thing I just bruise them off. Like people tell me that I have to commit suicide, and what I do is usually like say, oh, thank you, I will do it later, and things like that. So it's not a thing like, no matter how much people try to cope with that kind of comments, this is not something related to, like, I think I have thick skin for the internet. It's not anything like I'm offended or I don't think like people use very loosely the term harassment. I don't think I am harassed most of the time because harassment involves an intentional repetition, like one person doing just one comment insulting you or laughing at you is not harassing you. Although I have a lot of people who legit harass me, like I have people who have been for like 10 years following me and responding to everything I do. There are people in forums compiling a lot of information about me and things like that. There are some people who legit harass me, and are very obsessed with me. But it's not a term that I usually like throw around because I kind of don't care about that kind of shit, and I don't even take seriously. Like if you tell me that you're gonna kill me, like I basically just laugh at you. So it's not an issue of being offended, thin skin, coping, triggered, or whatever you want. Is I I have completely run out of patience for stupidity, and I think this image represents that very very well, because this is what I have to face every single day. Because when you reach like another thing with the people who say things like you don't have to block anyone and things like that is that they usually have low follower accounts. So when they say something stupid, they usually don't have much responses because not much people follow them. Or not something stupid, simply they say something that people disagree with, or gets the wokes offended or something like that. So usually when they are involved in some kind of fight, they are the ones starting it, so they are already in the mood for a fight. They are not usually attacked when they are not in the mood to be in a fight with someone and deal with stupidity. But when you start rising in followers, like I don't have that much followers, but I have like 16,000 followers. When you start to rise in followers, every single thing that you say, you have a huge horde of people saying the most incredibly stupid stuff. And again, I'm not talking about like you being harassed or whatever. I'm talking about being just so stupid comments that you face palm continuously. Like I would say that I have a lot of patience for people with different political alignments than me. Like I have friends who are communists, and I probably wouldn't have. I don't have any friend who is like alt-right or something like that, but I have some friends that are much more on the right than I am, and I probably will be friends with someone who is an alt-right if they are not stupid. But I have very little patience for stupidity. And when I talk about stupidity, I talk precisely about when you write something, like if I write something and someone perfectly understands what I have said and they respond to me saying that they are in disagreement and I don't agree with them, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Like that will probably fall into the camp of I will ignore you, like I won't respond because I don't lose my time on the internet anymore, but it will be just okay, I ignore you. But most of the responses are people like this image, like people who have absolutely no understanding of what the fuck I just said, and or either they don't understand it or they understand it, but they pretend that they don't understand it so they can attack you in the same way that someone who doesn't understand it. I don't know if I'm explaining myself right with this. Like they do a straw man of what you just said, and they perfectly know that they are strawmanning you, but they don't care because they can much more easily get an argument and attack you if they attack an argument that you never made. So if you use the example of this text, basically that you say that on average Asian men are shorter, and that's like a factual statement, and you are not saying anything with it. It's just okay, this is like a fact, and that's it. That and on average, and then you have someone responding you know, angry, responding you like you're a racist because I know an Asian guy who is tall and things like that. I have had that thousands of times, like people saying that, and sometimes it's like genuinely they are just stupid, and sometimes they are doing it on purpose, which means they are stupid in a different way, basically. And I am just incredibly tired of this, and it makes completely impossible to have any kind of conversation on the internet, because anything you say, like you will just fly past each other, either because the other person is stupid or because the other person is an asshole that will just change whatever you are saying, misrepresent whatever you are saying into a different thing. And most of the conversations on the internet are like this. Like, I had, for example, like an example that is similar to this. I have an article in which I talk about difference in sexual attraction between men and women, which is a topic that obviously as a hentai artist I know about it, like, because I have a lot of experience drawing this kind of thing, and obviously I pay attention to what men and women like, and I read a lot of books on psychology of sexuality and psychology, evolutionary biology, evolutionary psychology, a lot of things like that about specifically the difference in sexuality, what men want, what women want. So it's a topic I have knowledge about. And I made an article that was about several things, but that was one of the main things, the difference in how men and women see sexuality, what each gender is attracted to. And I made very, 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 very clear from the beginning that I was talking in average, that an average doesn't mean, like, I explained, because I knew this was going to happen, I explained it in length at the beginning. Like, average mean that most of the people inside that group likes a thing, but that doesn't mean that everyone. It's like maybe 80%, for example, of like 80% of women like X thing, so you can say that on average women like X thing, to say an example. And I think the example that I made is like that hypothetical example that 80% of women like the blue color, so that they could say that women like blue in average, for example. And I explained that doesn't mean that all women, that if you know a woman or you are a woman who doesn't like blue, that doesn't mean anything, like, because the average still says that women like blue, etc., etc. And I think I reiterated that several times through the text, and still, like, half of the responses that I got were people literally saying, I am a woman who doesn't like this, so this is false. And it's like, if you're at that level of stupid, I don't want anything to do with you. Like, that kind of thing is just a block for me right now. I just block it because, again, it's not something that is offensive or whatever. It's just, you are so incredibly stupid that there's nothing I could possibly say that will make you understand what I'm saying, and I don't want to deal with the amount of stupidity that you are saying. Like, I just don't want to deal with it. Like, for example, in the same article, I said that I was talking about how men and women have different poses, sexual poses, that the poses that men use to attract women are not the same poses that women have. And I was using an example from Sailor Moon, because there's a lesbian couple in Sailor Moon, and one of the two, the Haruka, I think it's called Haruka or Haruko. She, like, many lesbians do this thing that is like one of them is quote unquote the man of the relationship. Like, it's something that, I mean, and don't ask me, it's something that they do sometimes. And this woman, it seems to be the case. Like, she adopts more masculine poses, more masculine clothing. And I was using some image of her precisely to say, look, this woman, she's kind of like adopting like the role of the man in the relationship, so she's adopting kind of more masculine mannerisms. And there's one guy who said, and I fucking not joking with this, who said that I was claiming that Sailor Moon was porn. Yeah, if you need a couple of seconds to, yeah, I can say it again. Like, a person said that, saying that one of the lesbians in Sailor Moon adopting more masculine poses and mannerisms means that I am saying that Sailor Moon is porn. What do you do when you are faced with someone like that? And I know this wasn't a troll because they weren't talking to me. It was a conversation that I saw of them talking to other people in a forum in which they talk about this kind of shit. And they were talking 100% legit, and they were saying shit like that. Like there were more stupid stuff than that, but that was one of the more like, what the fuck I have just read. So what do you do with someone like that? Like you have someone come to you and say, yeah, you're saying that Sailor Moon is porn because this lesbian uses more masculine poses. Like, there is no way to talk to someone like that. Like, the level of stupidity, like their IQ is so low. They're so incredibly stupid. And even if they are making it on purpose, like if they are on purpose, like trying to misrepresent what you say or misunderstand, quote unquote, on purpose to be able to attack you, that means that they may mean that their IQ is not as low, but it means that they are retarded in another way. Like, they are fucking assholes. I don't want to interact with people who's continuously throwing fallacies like a complete retard. So that's why at some point I spent like, I have kind of an epiphany, so to speak, one day. Like, I spent like the first 5 years or so. I joined Twitter in like 2013, I think. And I think like for 5 or 6 years, I didn't block even one person. Like, no one. Because I have said, I have thick skin for this kind of stuff, for people attacking you, insulting you, threatening you, or wishing your death or whatever. Like, that kind of thing is like kind of doesn't affect me. So for the longest time I was like, okay, I don't care about this, and I had like a lower follower count, so I only, like, at the beginning I only got into fights when I did a comic or whatever, and I knew I was going into a fight, so I kinda was in the mood for it, so to speak. And at the beginning I didn't block anyone, and one of the reasons is because I have always tried to avoid echo chambers, and today I still do it, but in a different way. So I didn't block anyone because why I'm gonna block them? Like, I'm not offended or anything, and I can see what they say, and I can see others' perspective or whatever. But then there was a point, like, I had so many people that were legit harassing me, like, and again, I don't care, but I mean, let's be correct with the terms. Like, they were legit harassing me, like, they were every day, everything I wrote, they were attacking me, and every time I say something, they strawman it to hell. And either they didn't understand anything I was saying, or they were purposefully misrepresenting it. And that was every day, all the time. And at some point it was so tiring, like so incredibly tiring to have these people like seeing some incredibly stupid stuff all the time. And like, I would like, I think like the friends that I had back then, the woke friends I had back then, I think that none of them is my friend anymore. And I unfriended some of them, and the rest have probably unfriended me. But at the beginning it was like, they said stuff that were incredibly stupid, and maybe I make a comment throwing like some reason, and then maybe some of them threw a response that made no argument at all. They just threw some shaming attack, some line oriented to like virtue signaling, and then you had like 10 people like responding to the guy saying, oh yeah, this is an incredible response, I'm going to use this response whenever someone says some transphobic or racist thing like this guy. And it was so fucking tiring to see so many people say so many stupid things and then accusing you of stuff that you never said. That at some point I was like, this is toxic. Like, this is completely toxic. Like, you can't go on, like, especially as I said, when you start having a lot of followers and you have this every day, whether you like it or not, there is a point in which you say, okay, I'm okay, like, I'm not, it's not affecting me, but I understand why people who have like a lot of followers, like in the hundreds of thousands, or people who is attacked every day in very huge waves have like psychological problems and try to suicide and things like that. Because it can be very tiring, and if you are not prepared for it, like if you don't have like the strength of mind that I can have, yeah, it probably can affect you. So it's a very toxic thing, and you don't really have to suffer it. Like there is like this unwritten rule on the internet that blocking is like the worst thing you can do. I did a joke one time that was like a chart of the most horrible things you can do on the internet, and murder was like in the middle, and then you went up to like misgendering and things like that, and on the top it was blocking. Like blocking is like the worst thing you can do on the internet. Like people is like they suffer things that they don't really have to suffer just because this kind of unwritten rule that they have to suffer. I don't know. And basically I was suffering it, so to speak, because I had this mentality of like not having an echo chamber. But then like at some point you realize that you don't need that to don't have an echo chamber. Like to not have like this, you don't block people maybe because you don't want to have an echo chamber, but you realize that these people are not contributing anything to you. Like to not have an echo chamber, what you have to do is to see contrary opinions to yours that are well argumented and you know and can make you maybe realize that you are wrong in something, or that not everyone on the other side is saying X thing or Y or whatever. So what you have to do to not have an echo chamber is like what I do, that is you have to purposefully follow people who are on an opposite camp of yours, but they are not stupid. Like they say stuff like in an intelligent way, and they are not just like all the time accusing you of stuff. I follow people I don't agree with in a lot of stuff, but they try to, like for example Destiny, I don't like him for a lot of several reasons, but he tends to be kind of comprehensive of people who have different positions than him, and he tries to he attacks a lot his own side in the left for not being able to give arguments and just accusing people of being transphobic and shit, and he tries to argue his positions. So if you follow Destiny, even if he says things that I don't agree with, it's like, okay, he's, you know, like explaining why, and he's not being an idiot accusing people of stuff. And I don't know, I follow David Pacman or Lacey Green, Liana Kay, and on Twitter I follow also like a lot of feminists who tend to be a little more calm in their accusations to people. So what you have to do to avoid an echo chamber is basically that, is you need to have people who say things that are opposite to yours, but in a way that that contributes something to you. The thing is that most of the people on the internet do not contribute you anything in this regard. Like what is, like sometimes I block someone comes to me, like I make a completely normal comment that you may disagree with, but it's a completely normal comment, and then I have someone come to me like just not making any argument, just attacking me and saying, oh, you are, I don't know, a racist, some east, like a racist, sexist, transphobe, whatever fucking stuff that is in trendy today to call people. I don't know, you are an incel or whatever, and you block them, and they are like, because people always, like when I block people, I always have someone saying, like showing me screenshots and saying, oh, you're gonna respond to him. I like, dude, whatever, I don't care. I have blocked them because I don't wanna see them. But I always have people sending me DMs or linking me to stuff. And you see people like having absolute meltdowns, like writing a lot of tweets about me because I have blocked them. And they usually say stuff like, oh, he's creating an echo chamber. And I'm always like, do you really think that not having you, like, what are contributing to me by calling me an incel and not giving me any argument? Like, how I am in echo chamber if I block you, if I block a person who just says completely retarded stuff all the time and doesn't say anything intelligent. Like, if anything, it's these people who are in an echo chamber because they only have people who think like them, and they don't care if that person is an idiot or whatever. Like, they don't follow anyone who disagrees with them. They just, on Twitter, they go in groups to dogpile people, and they think that that is not having an echo chamber. Like, they're not contributing anything to me, so I blocked you because you're a fucking idiot, and I'm tired of. Like, it doesn't contribute me anything to hear for the 10,000 times, oh, you are an incel, because, I don't know, I made an article talking about difference in sexuality between men and women, so oh, you are an incel. But what does contribute to me? Nothing. And it's tiring to hear it for the 100th time. So it's like, if you come to me saying, oh, you're an incel, it's like, I'm not offended, I don't know, I don't think it's harassment or whatever, but it's like, okay, you're an idiot, block. I don't care, I'm tired of hearing this for the 1,000th time. And whenever you write something, it's like people, like the NPC meme is one of these memes that I wasn't very happy at the beginning, but then I was like, okay, yeah, this fits like a lot, because people do that a lot. Like, they see one person saying one thing and they all repeat the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, and it doesn't make any sense, but they just repeat it over and over again because they have seen one person saying it, so they repeat it over and over and over and over again. And I want to use an example of, I think, today. Like, I made some tweets about Cyberpunk. Like, for example, I made a tweet that said that, because it's in vogue to Cyberpunk right now because of the anime. Remember how the original Cyberpunk role-playing game, like the TTRPG, predicted the future, like, in a way that no one else has predicted. And I linked a text in which they have a prediction of 2020, and you look at it and say, and it's like, okay, society, like, maybe we don't have, like android bodies, but the society that they thought the 2020 was gonna have is like, they nail it. They absolutely nail it. And my tweet only says that, and my tweet only says, like, Cyberpunk predicted the future like no one else. And then I had one guy say that, but that test wasn't written by Mike whatever, which is the original creator, who's a black guy, and the writer of this isn't black, so this is false. And I like, how it is false? The only thing I have said is that Cyberpunk predicted the future, because this is a text of the original Cyberpunk books. I have said absolutely nothing about who wrote it or the skin color of the person who wrote it, so this comment is completely useless. It's just, they're just throwing something that isn't there to attack it because they can attack the original comment. Like, the original comment says something that is factual, they can't attack it, so they throw in, like the Mike whatever black guy. And after that, this guy made that comment, and every single person who came afterward copy pasted the comment. Like, they changed a letter and they copy pasted the fucking comment time and time and time and time and time again. And at some point, it's like, again, it's like, I'm not offended. I don't think it's harassment to make a comment saying that, but it's just so fucking tired. So fucking tiring to see dozens and dozens of people copy pasting the exact same comment, which is an incredibly retarded comment to make. And it's just, dude, go away. Like, at some point, it's like you start to block people because it's just, I'm tired. And if someone makes this comment, they are going to make more comments like that, and I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to see more people making this kind of stupid comments that go absolutely nowhere, and it is just so stupid. Like there are some more like that. I made more comments about Cyberpunk that were just like factual stuff or opinions on stuff, and people responded with things that weren't related, focusing on small details that have no bearing in it. Like it's tiring. It's just tiring. Like, so that's why nowadays I don't. I just write whatever I want to say. I ignore like most of the comments. If I write something, is because I'm responding to someone saying like some funny thing, so I respond some funny thing or whatever. Some stupid comments that people make, I mock them. Like if someone threatens me to death or something, I make a comment maybe to mock them or whatever. Or if the comment is just incredibly stupid, I just, okay, block. I don't want to see more of you. Like, you are so stupid. That is that like this the text that I link. Like, if you are just so stupid that you cannot understand basic concepts and you're just going into this small detail that means absolutely nothing, that you have also had to change what I was saying so it seems like I wasn't right in that small detail, so you can attack that small detail that is irrelevant, so you may have something to attack. I just don't want to deal with any of that. And I see people in my comments like trying to respond to these people, and they try to argue them, and I see people arguing for days and days and days. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, they try to give arguments to people who are not listening to the arguments. Like, they either are not understanding the arguments and they have to repeat it time and time and time and time again, or they understand the arguments but they ignore it and keep pretending that they don't understand the arguments. And it's tiring to watch. Like, I watch these people trying to argue, and it's, why are you arguing? Like, I'm getting tired just watching you arguing with this guy who says this incredibly stupid stuff. Why are you arguing with this person? And I should say, you can do like whatever the fuck you want, it's your life. But I at this point I can't understand why people still try to have honest conversations with people on Twitter when it's very obvious that it's not gonna happen. Like, most of the time the other person is not going to be honest, especially if they are woke, because woke is basically like the entire concept of wokeness consists basically on misrepresent what other people are saying so you can virtue signal by attacking the person. So trying to have an honest conversation with a woke person is like the most stupid thing that you could possibly do, because they are going to ignore whatever you say and misrepresent it. Like, you can make the most impossible to misrepresent argument possible, and you could still have people telling you that you have said that Sailor Moon is porn. Okay, like, there is no fucking sense in trying to argue with anyone on the internet, even when it looks like it. Like, I have a rule that is the rule of the 3 interactions. That is that it is practically impossible to have more than 3 interactions with someone on Twitter without it devolving to insults and fallacies. Because there are people who at the beginning, when they start talking to you, they seem like they are like they could be honest, but then when you interact with them more than 2 times, they go to fallacies and misrepresentation, because what they are totally doing is gaslighting. Like, they are pretending. It's the typical people who are like, oh, woke people don't exist and cancel culture doesn't exist, and like they pretend that all of the things that had happened in the last decade hasn't happened. Like, I have never seen a person trying to cancel someone and things like that. I have never seen anyone hating on men. That kind of people. And when you interact with them a couple of times, you realize that they are full of shit, that they perfectly know that this is happening, and they are just gaslighting you. And then they devolve into insulting you or accusing you or whatever, and you have lost your time. You have lost your time trying to talk with them. So I just don't. Like, right now, I just don't. Like, if you want to have an interaction with me on Twitter right now, I'm only going to respond if you make like a joke or whatever, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna respond to the joke. But if you want to argue with whatever I have just said, most likely than not, I'm just going to ignore you and And if you are completely retarded about it, like, if I don't even know who you are and the first thing you say to me is like, oh, you are stupid because block. Like, yeah, it's block. Like, I don't even know who you are and the first thing you say to me is you are stupid. Okay, block. I don't care. I don't want to deal with you. Like, that's just it. I simply don't care. And that's kind of why I think that arguing in the internet just makes no sense. Like, why will you do it? What would you win with it? Like, you are not expanding, you are not stopping having an echo chamber, you are not having more information contributing to you because the other person is simply throwing fallacies and not understanding anything. You are not expanding your field of view. You are not convincing the other person of anything. You are, like, it is to have fun. Like, I want to have fun right now. I kind of do that sometimes when I make some controversial statement because I want people to come after me, or I make a comic. Like, when I do that, I usually is on the blocking because it's me purposely like pushing people's buttons to have reactions and then laugh of the reactions. But if it's me saying a completely normal comment, like if I made a comment that no one could object to because it's like a completely sane thing to say, and then I have 100 people telling me that I am an incel because whatever, it's like, okay, that's 100 blocks. I mean, I'm obviously exaggerating a little. I don't think I have blocked that much, but it's like, yeah, because I have said a lot of stuff that I think it just makes sense. Like, if you say in Twitter something like, no one should hate on women, but also no one should hate on men. I think that's like, that's kind of a litmus test. Like, if someone is against that comment, they are not fit to live in a rational society. Like, they are not prepared for that. They are an honest bigot, and they are completely stupid. Because it's like a completely logical statement to make. But if you make that comment and it gets a little shared, because there are people who say, oh, this has never happened to me, and it's like, yeah, you have 50 followers. Like, if you say that, it's not going to get very far. But if you, let's say that you say that and someone with 50,000 followers account retweets you, it's going to get far. And then you are going to have hundreds of people attacking you for saying that it's completely okay to hate on men because whatever, yada yada yada, and that's what I like. If you have people saying so incredibly retarded stuff, responding you so incredibly retarded stuff at things that make complete sense, it's on them. And as I've said, it doesn't make sense trying to argue with people like that. So right now it's like, yeah, arguing on the internet is I know, and it doesn't make any sense. And I think that's kind of it. Like, I just wanted to make another drawing video, and I always talk about some stuff, and I think this was a good topic because I saw that image, and maybe, I mean, I don't think that many people are going to watch the video, but at least I have out there a more expanded explanation of why I don't know, the way I interact with people in social media right now, because I sometimes make a tweet about it, but I don't think a couple of tweets make it very clear. So that was it. If you want more videos or you want hentai content and things like that, you can go to my Patreon. That's patreon.com/Kukurullo, and I'm Kukurullo in most social media, so goodbye.